Got us. There we go. We are live. My name is Pamela Dale, and this is the Level Up Show Live. We have Reagan Bashara on with us today, and she's going to talk about the importance of bookkeeping as a small business owner and how it impacts our lives. Welcome to the show. So great to have you.
Hi. Thank you so
Hey.
much for having me on, Pamela. It's awesome to be here. I'm excited to talk about bookkeeping.
And isn't that so cool that you have that passion and how that comes about and becomes a business for you? I love that idea of a woman stepping into her passion and then bringing that to other women to help us make money, because that's one of the things that we love around here. So you're here to talk about small business financing, which is not your, glamorous topic, but it really centers around one of my favorite, and that's money. So tell
Yeah.
us a little bit about yourself and how you got here.
Yeah, thank you. I am a bookkeeper of 10 years now. I graduated college with a math and physics degree in 2014. So I'm coming up on 10 years of being in this industry. And I graduated with the math and physics degree and then decided I wanted to be an accountant. So that happened. And the rest is history, right?
Right. And when did you become a business owner? What was that like for you?
Yeah, so I quit my job in 2022. I had been working as a staff accountant at an accounting firm and decided that I was ready to be a business owner to, be my own boss and to take the reins and have complete control over my business and my income. And in 2022 in May, I founded All Ease Accounting, which is my bookkeeping firm. And I'm completely virtual based. I'm here in my home office right now. It's just me. I'm still a solopreneur and I've been doing bookkeeping for my small business folks ever since.
And what was it, do you think, was the catalyst for you to really do that? What was the real motivator behind that?
Yeah, I actually had a lot of big life events happen in 2021. Unfortunately, I had a few people in my life pass away, and I realized that I was no longer willing to be miserable and to live the life I was living. And I was like, I really need a big change. I cannot be here anymore in this place where I'm not well. And so I, it's kind of funny, business ownership and entrepreneurship is really actually very difficult if you've never done it before. And even if you have, there are still days where it's actually just a lot harder than holding down a job. And I was like, man, life kind of sucks. Let me go start a business.
Right. Because
That
it's
might be a
supposed to
little
be rosy.
ironic. Yeah.
And you get to see inside of a lot of businesses. So
Oh, yeah.
are things as pretty as we say they are on Instagram?
No.
Right. Could we
No,
say that a little bit louder for those in the back?
yeah, I get a front row seat
Yeah.
to how people run their businesses, how they spend their money, and no one is doing it perfectly, and you're not actually supposed to do it perfectly. It is all a big science experiment. We are supposed to be trying things and failing, seeing what works, seeing what doesn't, and then from there making the little tweaks and adjustment to get to where we want to go. So it is not easy and it is not perfect for anybody. And just like with anything else huge you decide to do in your life, whether that's to get married or start a family or start a business or, switch careers, it is going to be challenging in a completely different way if you've never done it before, but you have to kind of learn to roll with the punches. And if this is something you truly want to do, stick with it and persevere through those challenges.
So, what do you see as the biggest mistake that businesses are making with regards to their finances?
Yeah, probably top of the list would be the business owner not paying themselves.
Oh,
You go into business to make money. You need to pay yourself, period. End of story. Whether that is someone who is a solopreneur, a sole proprietor, a single member LLC that is not incorporated, you need to take draws. You need to actually transfer money from your business account, which you should have a separate business checking account. That's mistake number two. Transfer money from your business account to your personal account to pay yourself. And people ask, like, well, how much and how often? And that is something that you need to figure out using your bookkeeping, using your business data, your cash flow analysis. That is why I sit down with folks and go over their numbers, help them get their numbers into their reports, do the bookkeeping. And then we actually do sit down and do that analysis. Like, what are your business goals? Also, we need to make sure you're paying yourself. If you are incorporated, so you have like an S corporation status, you actually do need to be on a salary where you have a wage and taxes are being withheld and you get a W-2 from your own business at the end of the year.
So, if I was going to start my company today, just say start it all over, which we can do as a business owner every day, we get an opportunity to kind of start again.
Yeah.
Other than paying yourself first in a business checking account, what else would you advise someone to do?
Yeah, I get this question a lot where people are like, what revenue level do I get to before I start doing my bookkeeping? And I tell folks the magic number is zero. Before you start taking money from people, you need to have a system to track your money. That is bookkeeping and whatever form that looks like for you. A lot of people start with spreadsheets. As long as you're tracking it somewhere and it is correct, and it makes sense to you, that's the most important part. But I recommend using an accounting app like QuickBooks Online, which I'm not paid to recommend their products or anything, but that is my recommendation. But having a system to track your money is so important before people start paying you. If someone's paying you actual dollars and money, that means that they take your business seriously. So you need to take it seriously as well and have a system to track your finances.
Why do you think, being somebody who sees things from the back end, so to speak, what do you think is the
Mhm.
reason that people aren't doing these things?
Yeah, money is a very emotional topic. I don't know if anybody knows that, but like most of us don't
Right?
like to talk about money because we're usually operating under the belief that we don't have enough, we're not making enough. Money is somehow a reflection of our worthiness as a human being or our value. Like all of that is like wrapped up in money mindset, and it causes people to procrastinate on doing their bookkeeping, to just not do it at all, to stick their heads in the sand. I have a lot of folks that come to me and they're in their little ostrich mode where they're like,
Yeah.
I have not looked at it ever, and I guess now I probably should. Can you help me? And I'm like, yes.
Wow.
What we do is we start them with a small system that they can stick to, habits and routines, like saving their receipts somewhere that is easily referenced, reconciling their bank accounts once a month, at least going in and like categorizing their transactions on a regular basis. We start small with these little habits, and then we find out like what else do they do in their business on a regular basis? Can we link that habit so that when you do this, okay, next step is I come over here and I do this with my bookkeeping. So when people come to me, they're in avoidance and we need to get them out of that. And the way we do that is by giving them small wins, giving them small routines and habits that they can totally stick to.
Do you see a difference between men and women in their businesses and how they manage their money?
Um, I don't know. I've never got this question before or really thought about it. I think what tends to happen is that women struggle with the pricing more often
Ah.
than men. I think that men tend to have a mindset that allows them to uh, price themselves a little bit higher and be able to justify it. Whereas women do the opposite. We try to give everything away for free, try to help everyone that we can, and never ask for anything in return. If we want to set our price and then we want to raise it, we can find a million reasons why we shouldn't raise it, why we don't deserve to raise our prices or even ask for money in the first place. Often women start businesses doing something that they love, like turning their craft hobby into a business and selling that. I love numbers, obviously. I decided to be an accountant. I started a business doing bookkeeping and accounting and payroll, but it's something that I enjoyed doing, but it's not necessarily like a passion of mine. My relationship with the client is a passion of mine. And therefore, it's like, oh, that's like a personal relationship to me. Like, I can't put a dollar on that. Yet I live in a house, I have bills, I have things that I need to pay for to live. I got to buy groceries. So, yes, I do need to put a dollar on it. But to me, it is about building relationships. And so I think women are coming at it from that, like, oh, this is just something that I love to do and I'm good at. And I just happen to be good at it because I love it. Whereas men often come with the mindset of like, this is capitalism, baby. And like, I got to make some money and like feed my family and take care of the people monetarily who rely on my support.
That's an interesting line. So women don't necessarily think that way, that there are people relying on my support, which is themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So I think
Yeah.
that we as a species, I'm not sure the right word, gender, if that's even the right word, need to be really cognizant of how we are really responsible for ourselves and if we can do that through a business. So the title of this little live here today that we've got going on is the impact of small business finance on our lives. Could you tell us a little bit more about this?
Yeah, whenever people start a business, they may be working like a regular 9 to 5 job and then they get a side hustle going. They start making a little bit of money. And so they still got like W 2 wages. They can still go buy a car and present their most recent pay stubs as proof of their income. When you're a business owner and that's all you do, your income for your taxes, for any sort of financing that you want to apply for, buying a house, buying a car, um, all of that is impacted by your business money, your business finances, the revenue that you make in your business, the money you spend in your business, your expenses. So the impact of your small business finances touches every other part of your life. If you want to do anything, it's going to require you to produce a tax return to show that you make money, especially in your business. I own a rental property with my mom. And when I started my business 2 years ago, I was like, I don't think I'm going to be able to put up my income to buy another rental property for a couple of years. And I was right. I actually talked to a mortgage lender and she was like, if you're just self-employed and that's all you have to kind of put forward as your income to prove that we can lend you money to buy a house, we need at least 2 years of you being in business before we can even touch it. So it is so important to have your finances in a system like bookkeeping where we can pull financial reports, where you can show somebody my business is making money and can support me getting financing for a loan, a business line of credit, purchasing an asset for the business and financing it. So like it's not only, impactful for the business like in itself, but like if you're just self-employed, you don't have a W-2 wage job income, what they look for your income is your business income. If this is for the case if you are a sole proprietor or a single member LLC, by the way.
And what are the benefits of, I'm thinking that that ties back to paying yourself.
Yeah.
Is that correct? So, what other benefits are there to doing that, paying yourself?
Yeah, I mean, not everything in your life can be expensed for the business, right? Like, I can't expense my mortgage payments. Like,
Right.
yes, I operate out of my house, but the way that I claim this portion of my house that I use for my business is through business use of home. I get to take a small chunk of it. It's like 15 or 18% of my house is my office. And so I get to take, 15% of my utilities and 15% of my mortgage interest. So what was the question again? I feel like I just went off on a tangent.
That was perfect. It was like, why else do we need to?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I can't expense my groceries, I can't take my pets to the vet and call it a bookkeeping expense. So, like there are things that I have to pay for aside from the business in my personal life. So, paying yourself is totally important. Just like if you were to work a job for somebody else, and it's important that they pay you for, your time and your expertise and education.
But can't I just pull it out of the account?
Out of the what?
Out of the bank account, the business account? Because I'm assuming that's what people are
Yeah.
doing.
Yes, yes. Whenever you are a sole proprietor or a single member LLC, you take a draw. So, yes, you would just write yourself a check from the business account, or most people just transfer, electronic.
And what do you see as the biggest expense that we're not putting on our taxes? What's one of the ones that we're typically you see people missing?
I was just talking about this with a training client earlier today, and she was like, "Yeah, like what do most people miss and not count?" And I'm like, "Your cell phone." Most of us don't even pay our cell phone bill from the business account. But if you think about it, most small business owners are using their cell phone for something, especially like my contractor clients that are running around. They don't buy an extra cell phone for their business, they just use their personal phone. So part of your personal cell phone cost is going towards supporting your business. You're using it for your business in some way. So I told this person, just pay the bill out of your business account so that we can budget for that expense inside of your business. And when you go to file your taxes, you may only claim like 60% of the cell phone cost because you do use it for personal too. But as far as the bookkeeping goes, we got to get that information in there so that you can look at those numbers and have an idea of what it takes to run your business, what kind of expenses you have. So the cell phone is like usually the first thing that I see. I'm looking for that when I'm looking at a new client's profit and loss statement. And I'm like, hey, like just pay your cell phone bill out of your business account. Like you're probably going to end up claiming more of it than not.
I see. And what do you think people are trying to claim or are claiming, but it really shouldn't be there?
Yeah, their trips to Disneyland for
Oh,
sure, or
stop. Come
Disney
on.
World.
That's got
Yes.
to be
So
expendable.
many people. And I made a TikTok about this once, talking about not claiming your Disney World trip. And I had people in the comments like trying to fight me, and I'm just like, okay, like you go ahead, you do whatever you're gonna do, but like I'm telling you, like on the IRS website, it specifically says like you can't go on a family vacation, watch a webinar while you're in the hotel room for an hour, and then claim the entire trip as a business expense. Like that. And I see people trying to do that, and I'm just like, yeah, no, we're not doing this.
Can you do part of it because you did watch the webinar, or is that
So if you went to like
gray?
a conference that was being held at Disney World, you could claim the expenses of the trip related to like going to that conference. But for the most part, like if you're there for 5 days and you spend one day at the conference, you get to claim like a fifth of your like airfare, hotel.
I see.
Yeah.
And what do you think is the best way to save money?
Setting up an auto transfer or an auto draft. Like turning most banks will have kind of like an auto save feature now where you can set up rules. You can say, every other Friday, as long as my checking account balance is like $500,
I see.
move like $50 over to my savings. You can set up these kind of automated things because the less we have to think about it, the less we have to remember, the less we have to be reminded. Like, even if you set a reminder on your phone, like transfer money into savings, how likely are you going to see that and be in a position to sit there and make a transfer between your bank accounts? Automating things will help you get there faster when it comes to savings. And I like to take the approach of I don't want to cut expenses. I want to just go make more money. So
Mm,
if you're at the point where like I want to develop a savings and you look at your expenses and you're like, I really can't trim any more of this down. Well, let's just shift over to where you're making more money. Let's go get some revenue activity going, bring in some more cash for you so that you can start to establish that savings goal.
So I think that's a really great segue over into your specialist. You went to school and then you made a decision, you had a job, and then you became an accountant and you started your own business. How
Mhm.
easy of a transition was that for you?
It is kind of like learning any other skill, but this skill was something interesting to me because it's like putting together a puzzle. It's like solving a big problem, putting the pieces into place, like where I know that they need to go. And I was given a lot of space and time to just kind of play and have like trial and error. It was just kind of like, here's a project. We need the books done for like, let's say 2023, and I was just given bank statements, given the data, and then I just was allowed to kind of play with it. So having the space and the time to work on those projects, really sink my teeth into it and to figure it out on my own, allowed me to make that pivot from like math and physics, which is very rigid and like higher level thinking and abstract thinking, to I'm working with real people and their real numbers, their money, and how they spent their money. It's almost like investigating what was going on in their brain. Like if they swiped the card at Walmart and they're an electrician, what do I think that they were buying there? Probably like some tools or supplies, screws, nails, whatever, copper wire. I don't know anything about
That
electrician
sounded
stuff, so
good. That
nobody
sounded
come
good.
for me. Don't come for me.
And two questions came up for me around that. The first being, what were your biggest money mindset challenges going from being an employee to a business owner?
Yeah, it takes a lot of vulnerability and nervous system work to be visible and to ask people to hire you. When you have a job, you ask someone to hire you once. You go to
Once.
the interview, you make an application, and you go and you get hired. When you're a business owner and you are the one selling your products and services, you have to ask over and over and over and over again. And you either get crickets, you get a no, you get a maybe not right now, or you get a yes. Like those are kind of the options. And some of the crickets and no's, like you have to kind of not, you have to learn how to not take it personally. So when it comes to money mindset and me wanting to grow my business and grow my revenue, I had to get used to people seeing me, being visible, and making the ask and saying, I have this thing that can actually really help you. Like I can, jump in there and get your bookkeeping right, or I can teach you how to do it yourself. And, it's not convincing anybody. It's just letting them know what the value of your offer is and being willing to hear the answer no, or not right now, or maybe. So that was a big shift for me, because in the very beginning, I was just hiding. I was just like, I hope somebody comes along and hires me and Googles me and figures it out what I do, and then figures out how to contact me and all that. Like, no,
Right.
you gotta like show up and like tell people and be like,
Trips over
look,
you in your living room. Yeah, like stuff
yeah,
like
yeah,
that. Yeah.
exactly. Exactly. So the visibility thing, like making that shift to like, all right, I got to get out here and start like making some offers and asking people to work with me. That's necessary.
So I was listening to Hermosi the other day, and he was saying the road of failure and success is the same road. I was like,
Mm,
what you talking about? Right. And I was like, okay. I'm starting to really understand that. And then
yeah.
I'm listening to my coach today, and she says, this is a science experiment. And this is
Yes.
what brought it up for me around what you were doing with the math and the physics, because I got kicked out of science as a kid. Okay. So
Yeah.
that wasn't good. So I didn't understand the set, what a hypothesis, I guess they call it in science, right? Like, what do you put
Mm-hmm.
some things together, and what do you think is going to happen? I remember them asking me that, right? Like, if I
Yeah.
put this in this, what do you all think is going to happen? And you would write that down.
Yeah.
And that's what we have to do in this business as well, is, okay, what do we want to do? And okay, let's try it. Let's write this down, and then let's get on that road. And that's where Hormozy kind of jumped in for me. It was just like science. We fail, and then we start again, and we fail. And
Yeah.
getting on the road to go to the grocery store, if you come up against a red light, it's not like, well,
Yeah.
fuck that,
Yeah.
we're going home. Right? Like,
Exactly.
or that bridge is out, we go around it because we have a destination to get to
Yes.
the grocery store. But school taught us that failure wasn't good, and that,
Mm-hmm.
right? So do you think you had an advantage understanding science and math? I lost the whole connection. There you are.
Sorry.
I
Okay, I
lost the
think.
connection. I don't know what happened there. That was wild.
I'm
Okay.
sorry.
I don't think it's you.
Okay.
I think it was my internet. So the question was, do you think math and science helped you?
Yeah, I think that knowing how to set up a science experiment is really important, because when we're talking about you getting out there and trying some stuff, because you gotta just try some stuff, like we need to collect as much data as possible. And people who know like a scientific paper or a science experiment, we want to make sure that we have like a control group, and then we have like a ton of data that we're collecting.
Right.
I got in I got in trouble, but I got like a bad grade on a science experiment when I was in elementary school, actually, because like I only had like three variables that I was like testing, and I only did the experiment once. I didn't run it like multiple times. And they were like, this is shit. I mean, not, they didn't say that, but like, they were like,
Right.
you like didn't do it enough. You got to keep going. And I was like, oh. And like as a business owner, you can't just like send out one email to your subscribers and then be like, oh, well, nobody clicked. Email doesn't work. I sell through email all the time. Like you have to just like keep sending it out, keep getting that feedback of like, what did people click on? Did someone respond to me? If they clicked and they didn't buy, why not? Like you just have to throw so much out there to get data and be okay with it not giving you the answer that you want.
So true. And I think the biggest piece of it is, and this is, I'm speaking for myself personally, I know it's true for others, so I'm going to share. And that is when I go and put that first email out, I don't think it was the email. I think it's, I shouldn't be in business. Oh, I should, this is a wrong offer. Like all of this is wrong, including myself, right?
Yeah.
I'm on the wrong road. Like this is like, I'm packing it in, right?
Right.
And we do
Right.
that. We quit for 5 days, 5 years. You know, I say that a lot, but it's really starting to come together for me in my mind around this science stuff. And I think I might need to pull out and watch a little bit more about science so that I can understand exactly
Yeah.
what it is. But I had no idea that this was, yeah, that's like Amelin is saying, right? So true.
Yeah.
You can see that this is all about getting on the road. There's only one road, and we get on it and we fall and fall and fall and fall and fall. But if I think about if I'm going to the grocery store, it's not like all of a sudden, oh no, I'm just not going to go to the store. Like something
Yeah.
drastic would have to happen for me not to go to the store, but I'll go to the
Right.
store tomorrow,
Yeah.
right? Or I'll go later. But it's interesting when
Yeah.
it's our business or when it's our lives, we just pack up and off we go.
Oh yeah, we
So,
quit while we're ahead constantly. Don't
right,
do
but
that.
are we really ahead? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like we're failing
You're
in,
more ahead than you were before you sent the
true.
email or
Oh,
before you
true.
made the video or the post.
Right.
Like you have some data, but it's like we just need more. Like
We need
keep
more.
going.
We
Yeah.
need more. And
Yeah.
we need to know when to pivot and when not to. And that's a whole different conversation. But I really love this today, Regan, around what you spoke about and then with regards to money and then how you got on this road yourself. So thank you so much for sharing your story.
Thanks so much for having me. This is awesome.
So how do we find you? I know you've got is it a challenge? Tell me about your offer.
I developed a bookkeeping course to teach you everything that I've learned over the past decade. And I will be hosting a free challenge in May. So you can come to my website, alleaseaccounting.com. I'm pretty active on TikTok, but I also have like the Instagram and I have some tutorials for QuickBooks on YouTube. So if you're using QuickBooks and you need some fresh, quick tips, like less than 5 minutes, go find me on YouTube at All Ease Accounting.
And it's all ease bookkeeping? All
Accounting.
accounting, yes it is.
Yeah.
.com?
Yeah. Yes.
We're going to throw that up on the screen for everybody. Does that look
Thank
right?
you.
That looks
Yes.
good. So alleasebookkeeping.com, jump in, take a look, see what she's got. I love you as a bookkeeper, as a business owner. When I can see that you're on the same road and you've been able to tackle that and you've got such a great skill for so many of us to get our money right and get our head, my head, everyone's head out of the sand.
Thank you so much.
So great to have you. Everyone look up Regan Bashara, alleaseaccounting.com. See you next time.